You're watching Two Button Crew.
The daily show for Nintendo fans.
I'm Scott.
And I'm Simeon.
We're here to talk about one of our favorite games of all time, Super Smash Bros. For Wii U and 3DS.
Woo!
And somewhat of a controversial topic. Should custom moves be allowed in tournament settings? My main character is Sheik, and I like a couple of the custom moves. I like the gravity grenade because that combos into an up smash, which is one of Sheik's few kill moves. And I also like the needles that are better.
Yes, the needles that are better. That one move.
Yeah.
And Marth has some good custom moves, but I haven't really settled on exactly what I want. Like his B, even though it doesn't break the shield, but his standard B that thrusts him forward.
Yeah.
That is very, very helpful for getting in on an opponent from above.
A lot less punishable.
Yes.
So we've just discussed a couple of custom moves, but each character has so many, and there's so many characters.
Yes.
It just opens up so many possibilities. And I really didn't think that custom moves would ever be a part of Super Smash Bros. Just because of the sheer amount of work and balance that would need to go into it. Not that a lot of balance did go into it, but it was just unexpected for me. So yeah, never thought it would happen. There's so many different variations.
I seemed like my reaction to it was that it seemed like something to make it fun, like the other modes in the games that you'll never play,
or kind of like items maybe.
Yeah, or like items or stages that kill you.
Yeah.
I just thought it was going to be something like that, something to make it fun for mostly casual people, and that it would never really see the competitive scene at all.
You know what I kind of thought is that it might be used as a balancing tool in the community to like help the low tier characters, that they might have some better moves that they'd be allowed to turn on.
I see that.
But what happened is that, I mean, at least in our area, our community kind of ignored custom moves for the first couple months of the game coming out. And that's probably due to them not being readily available. Like, Palutena randomly had all of her customs unlocked, and then the Mii Fighters did, but everybody else, you had to fight tooth and nail to get all of those customs. And then, I mean, they were kind of ignored until Evo, which is happening in mid-July this year. They announced that they will be legalizing custom moves.
I cannot believe
And all of the tournaments and communities kind of had to react to that and say, okay, if we're going to go to this big event, it's going to take some practice, and we want to legalize custom moves in our tournaments so that our players can get that skill in, and then also know what they're going to be up against in Evo. So then our community began trying to unlock them, and talk about a nightmare.
Yeah, seriously.
Unlocking custom moves in Smash Bros. It's harder than getting all of the trophies. Like, I got all of the trophies in the game before I got all the custom moves. There's hundreds and hundreds when you think about each character having 4 special moves, which has 3 variations, 2 unlockable variations, and times that by a cast of 50.
Seriously.
So what's worse is like you can get duplicate custom moves.
Yeah, that I can. Yeah.
So I spent a lot of time getting custom moves that I already had, which I'd actually be okay with if there was a trading mechanic.
Oh
if
yeah.
I could wirelessly connect to you and say, here, I have some extra of these, you have some of these that I don't have, just like puzzle swap, the street pass thing, that would have been so nice. But as it is, like duplicates of custom moves and trophies are just useless. So I see that as an actual missed opportunity in the development of the game. And also, part of the presentation of the game that made it difficult is there's no screen or place you could go
to see them all.
Yeah, to track your progress. You had to go into each and every single character, create a new loadout, and then you'd be able to see what you could add to it. So here's what I did. I made a spreadsheet. I had to create a spreadsheet for a video game that I was playing for fun to track and see what I had.
Hey, that's what they did in the old days when they were, doing Legend of Zelda and Metroid. They had to make their own little maps. But I think this is ridiculous. In this day and age, I don't know, it's not the same. That's a little excessive to me.
like if you're gonna have this unlockable system, at least try to like make it fun. For goodness sake, people had to like find this exploit where you press the home button playing classic mode to try to get that roulette thing to stop on what you want.
Yeah.
And even when doing that, you would get duplicates, and it just took ages.
Yes.
It took hours. I mean, I had some fun unlocking customs, but you're right, it's kind of unnecessarily ridiculous the way they did it. So they're a pain. They're not only a pain to unlock, but they're a pain to set up. Because, I mean, props to Evo for having this. They made their own spreadsheet, but this time it showed like which characters, all the loadouts that would be legal. Mm-hmm. So I followed that. So I'd go onto the spreadsheet and I'd say, okay, for Sheik, what's the first loadout? 2211. Okay, I'd memorize that and look down on my 3DS, go 2211, and you get in this rhythm of like putting in the customs, and then you got to go name that loadout 2211. So you can go back in later on the character selection screen and pick the right one. You have to do that 10 times per character. Then you have it on your 3DS, which is like a donor system, and you take it to your tournament, and then you have to spend like 30 minutes transferring it to each and every Wii U that people are going to be playing it on. Mm-hmm. So if you unlock all the customs on Wii U, then that's only a donor system to different 3DSs. You can't share that with other Wii U systems. Yeah. So this is really made tournaments hard to regulate for Smash Bros. It's kind of complicated, but it kind of pays off. I mean, once you get a custom legalized tournament going, it's pretty fun. Mm-hmm. It's like a whole new game. So you'll be in matchups where unexpected things happen. It's like you're learning to fight against new characters. I think in the long run, it will help the game's longevity. But someone's probably gonna have to hack it by then and like hack the game to where you can load in a save that has stuff unlocked.
Yeah.
So
yeah, the whole thing is crazy. Like when Evo said we are going to make custom moves legal, I remember reading that and I'm like, first of all, why? Second of all, they're opening up a huge can of worms that I think that even they don't understand. But once the first custom move tournament in our area happened, I wasn't there, but I heard about it, and I'm like, oh goodness, this is going to be crazy. Because it sounded pretty
And you probably watched a few of the recordings and saw, like, people were so, like, the gameplay was centered around these custom moves.
Yeah.
It'd be custom move after custom move, and I mean, people are getting exploited by stuff that they just weren't really accustomed to fighting against.
Yeah.
And
you're playing a whole different game at that point. You're not playing the game you've been practicing on.
So, for instance, certain matchups, like if Villager was in there, that match was about his exploding balloons, and it was about his counter tree.
Yes.
So that was the first month. What was cool is that people actually did adapt, and over the next couple times, it balanced out. It wasn't really about the custom moves anymore. You kind of knew what to expect. I mean, it was cool. People could switch which loadout they were using between matches, and but it didn't revolve around it so much.
Right.
So
people adjusted over time. As far as making custom moves legal versus illegal, like some of them kind of are overpowered, but honestly, I think to keep the integrity of the community, I think that they should either be all in or all out.
Now, when you say integrity of the community, so like, show me what would happen if some of them got banned.
If some of them got banned, then I think that'd just be like, well, like, I think that'd be almost giving up. If there is something that is completely broken, for example, Meta Knight in Smash Bros. Brawl, then I think it's okay to say, you know what, we have to rule that out.
So let me just say that Donkey Kong and his up B is pretty reminiscent of Meta Knight.
It is, but I don't know if it's quite there. Like if you look at games like Marvel vs. Capcom 2, that game was competitive for like 10 years, and you know what, it could be still competitive.
Kind of like Melee is. It came out in 2001. People are still playing it.
People are still playing it, and people learned to adjust and say, okay, these characters are... This game is not balanced. This game has issues, but we're going to work around those issues. Now, that did come at a price. It made a large percentage of the cast not viable for tournaments. And so it did come at a cost, but I think we can look at the history of fighting games and say that if a community sticks it out long enough, people stop longing for patches. I think that is the one saving grace that we have, is that there can be patches.
I agree.
If there's one move that is like ridiculous enough, like Donkey Kong was up B, it might receive a patch.
Please.
And if that does, yes, please.
That would make me happy.
And so, but I think I've read articles on the tier list in Smash Brothers and how they evolve over time.
Yeah.
And I think that if we just beg for patches after patch after patch, and the game just constantly changes, then as a community we don't really get to know the game well enough. Whereas if we see things that are broken, I think Brawl needed the patch. I think Brawl needed Meta Knight to be nerfed.
Well, here's one thing I'd like to point out is, like, sometimes we've seen players that used people on the bottom of the tier list, and because they liked that character so much and stuck with it, that they learned to read their opponent like they never would have if they were using the person on the top of the tier.
And you see that it also evolves the metagame. If you have characters that are high tier, more people are going to be playing the higher tier characters. That means that you're going to see less of the lower tier characters. Therefore, the people who play the lower tier characters do have a small psychological advantage in an area, because these players are unfamiliar with the strategies of these characters
against it. Yeah.
So, should they be legal? Should they not be legal? I think that it's either all in or all out. They need to decide sometime soon. We're going to stick with this or we're not. I think had Evo not made them legal this year, then they never would have been legalized. I don't think it ever would have been a question in anybody's mind. But since it's so early on and they did that, I think this Evo, this season, we're going to have to, as a community, decide whether we're all in for it or all out for it, and beg, just hope and pray for patches on Donkey Kong's Up B,
and maybe
on Villagers Balloons, and
maybe like a little DLC package where you can pay $1 to have them all unlocked or something.
Oh, please.
Yeah.
Please.
And then also, I mean, items should be legalized while we're at it. So, no, I'm just kidding. Well,
no, that's not even funny.
Man, thanks for all your insight into this this very controversial issue.
Well, thank you for your insight.
Guys, thanks for watching. Thanks for being part of the crew.
Don't forget to give some love into the subscribe button, and don't forget to like and to comment.
We'll see you next time.
Signing out.